Welcome, everyone. We're back on Wellness Wednesday. Welcome, welcome. I'm Carla Coleman, your host, Director of Communications from New Salem Baptist Church in Columbus, Ohio. And tonight I'm in a co-working space because we're about to do a big meeting with the media team. So I want to be here when they get here. So that's why I'm in a different spot tonight. But tonight, what's most important is that we have Minister Brenda Troy with us, our First Lady, and the executive producer of this show, Wellness Wednesdays. So it's a special night tonight. Excited to have you, Minister Troy. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you, Carla?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. Pretty
Great,
good. So I'm very
great.
excited about this. She is going to talk about and help us with a topic that is really important in my life, and that's living a balanced life. It's tough
Yeah.
when you have
hmm
so many things going on, work and family and friends and just the pandemic and all the things that are happening in our lives. How do we balance that and balance that appropriately? It's a very important part of our mental health. So I'm
hmm
excited that she's here to talk about this tonight. Please come in and get ready to put your questions in the chat, and say hello, and we'll get started. So Minister Troy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first? You know, I do that with all our guests. And then from there,
Yes,
I know you have a PowerPoint presentation that you can share.
yes, absolutely. Good evening, everyone who's listening. First of all, thank you for joining Wellness Wednesday every week. We have been doing Wellness Wednesday for almost 17 months now since the pandemic. And I just want to say we appreciate you joining us. I appreciate my host, Carla Coleman, and I appreciate Mike, who's working in the back. And then we had a co-host, Paige, who's moved on, but got her in a promotion in Texas. But I just want to say thank you to all of you out there for your support. I am the first lady of New Salem Baptist Church, Columbus, Ohio, but I also am an employee of New Salem Baptist Church. My departments are hospitality, women of power, promised land. And so I'm excited to be here tonight. Wellness is my passion. And for years and years and years, if you know anything about me, you know that wellness is top priority on my list. And so I am thankful and excited to be here tonight to talk about balance, because it's a piece that we all can do better in and can encourage ourselves to be stronger and healthier in our lives.
Absolutely. Perfect. Excellent. So why don't we just go ahead and start with your presentation, and then
Okay,
we'll start talking, throwing out the questions, and we'll come to the chat and see what your questions are out there in the audience.
absolutely, absolutely. So my topic today is living a balanced life. And the first question that I have for our listening audience today is, what are the signs that your life is out of balance? That's the next slide, Mike. So, what are the signs in your life that are showing you that your life is out of balance? One of the first things is worry. Worry. Many of us worry about so many things that we are facing daily in our lives. We worry about, what if this happens? What if this doesn't happen? What if they come? What if they don't? What if I get this job? What if I don't? So, worry can be at the top of the list for having your life out of balance. The worry can take us into anxiety attacks where we get nervous. The next piece is overcommitting ourselves. We tell so many people that we can, that we will. You could go back to the first slide, Mike. We tell people that we will, that we can. I'll try, I can't promise. But did you know that no is a complete sentence? So we have to watch over committing ourselves on a daily basis. If you can't do it and you can't add into your schedule, no is a complete sentence. I like no because you can just say it and you're done with it. The next is disorganization and clutter. You look around your office or your home or even your car, Disorganization and clutter in your car is a sign that your life is out of balance, that you can't keep things neat and in order. So, disorganization and clutter around you is a sign, well, one of the signs that your life is out of balance. Next, we have negative thoughts. Never thinking that something can go right for you, that everything is negative. It's a sign, ladies and gentlemen, that your life is out of balance. You have a project or you have something on your agenda for the day, and you immediately begin the day thinking negatively about it. All right, that's a sign that your life is out of balance. Next, we have poor planning. A lot of us don't plan well. We are procrastinators. We are, I'll do it later, or maybe I'll do it tomorrow, or maybe I'll do it the next day, and we don't plan. Poor planning is a sign that your life is out of balance. Next slide, Mike. Unbalanced life begins to show signs in many ways in our lives. The physical, the emotional, and the personal part of your life can begin to show that your life is unbalanced. When we look at the physical, and I know many of you can relate to this, and this has happened to you, but you weren't sure where to connect it. Well, let's connect it to our life being unbalanced. In the physical, there are days that you have headaches that you can't explain where the headache came from or why you have it. You have an upset stomach. You can't connect it to something that you may have eaten or you may not have eaten at all. You don't sleep well. Sleep disturbance. Many of us do not get a good 8 hours of sleep. Some people operate on 5 hours, 4 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not enough sleep for your body and mind to regenerate itself at nighttime. So if you are sleep deprived, then you won't be able to move or produce the way you need to because your body and mind has not rested well. Next, change in appetite. Some people do not eat all day, eat one meal a day. Our bodies were not designed, and Carla, here we are with the eating again. Our bodies were not designed to only eat one meal a day. So you have a change in your appetite. You skip breakfast, you skip lunch, your snacks are not healthy. And then you eat one meal a day, the meal at the end of your workday, which could be 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. Then your body shows muscle tension. This is a physical sign that your life is unbalanced. Your body will begin to show you what's going on in your life. So when you have muscle tension, your knees are aching, the back of your arms are aching, your lower back is aching, your shoulders and neck are tense. Signs of an unbalanced life. You don't have enough rest. All right. The next thing is fatigue. This is under the physical signs of your body showing that you're unbalanced. You can be tired and you say, I went to bed early last night, or I slept well, but I'm tired. Ladies and gentlemen, your mind is thinking the things that you have to do, the things that you haven't done. You're procrastinating in your mind and in your spirit. It makes you tired. Then there are days that you have heart palpitations. You're not understanding why your heart is doing that. It's because you're tired, you're exhausted, you're unbalanced, and your body is trying to tell you something is out of whack. So, since you didn't rest well, your heart is telling you to sit down, take some deep breaths, look at your daily schedule. What is it that you can eliminate? And what are the things that absolutely must have to be done? So, those are the physical signs that your life is unbalanced. Then we go to the emotional part of our lives. The emotional, feeling depressed. A lot of us feel depressed and we have no idea why. Some of us have anxiety attacks. You are anxious every day, all day, and you're not understanding why. Carla and I were talking about how people respond when you ask them, "How are you today?" You say, I'm just not good." And when you ask the question, "Well, what's going on with you?" You say, "I don't know, it's a lot." Well, a lot is a big basket. There's a lot of things going on in there. What does a lot mean? And so you have anxiety, you get angry, or you feel powerless. when you are exhausted and your life is just out of whack, angry, or powerless. Sometimes you feel terrible and you don't understand why. You say, a lot of times we respond to people, we say, well, I don't think there's anything physical going on that I know of. I just had a checkup at the doctor's office. Everything seems fine. But you didn't tell your doctor that you are running around like a hamster in the wheel and the wheel just keeps rolling, just keeps rolling. And you know when the hamster stops is when you open the door and you take him out. He stops. So, as hamsters, there are days and times in our day that we need to just stop. Then we have difficulty making decisions. You can't think of what we should do, what we could do, what we can do, and how should it work. You have difficulty making decisions, and that's because our mind and our body is foggy. We are operating every day, just going and going and going and never stop. There are some things we do the same way, exactly like we did it the day before. There's no thought process. It's just the fact that we just keep going and going and going. So that's the physical and the emotional. Let's talk about the personal. In your personal life, there are times when there's been missed opportunities to spend time with friends and family. It's because you're exhausted. You don't have enough energy to do that. And so we don't spend quality time with our friends and our family. So we miss opportunities in our personal life when we're out of balance. If you're working full time or part time, sometimes you can feel like you're burnt out from your job. You just burn out. You keep going and going and going. And by the third week of the month, sometimes you just feel burnout. In our personal lives, we begin to self medicate ourselves just so that we can get along with alcohol. Think about it for a moment. Isn't it amazing how many people, when they get home from work, first thing that they do is sit down and have a glass of wine? Now, why is that? Some people say the wine relaxes me. But why is that? Why do you need a glass of wine? Now, don't anybody say I'm challenging you or talking about your glass of wine. I'm not. I'm just asking you to ask yourself the question, why is it that when I get home, I need to sit down and have a glass of wine? All right? That's the personal signs that there's some unbalance going on. Some people overeat. You sit down, you haven't had anything to eat all day, and you just what do you call it? Binge eating. Just binge eating. You're not sure what you want or what you need. You just binge eat until you feel full. It doesn't matter if it's the right thing, if it's cookies, if it's chips, you just binge eat. All right? That's a sign in your personal life something's out of whack. A lot of people smoke. Tobacco is addictive. And in your personal life, you sit down, you have a cigarette. You have a cigarette on the way home from the job. You have a cigarette when you get home. You have a cigarette when you're explaining to others what happened during your day. And then many people are addicted to caffeine. Some people drink one cup of coffee in the morning and they're done. But other people drink one cup in the morning, one cup on the way, one cup when you get to work, a cup at lunchtime, a cup on the way home, and a cup before you go to bed. That's an addiction to caffeine. Some people use Pepsi, some people use Mountain Dew. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a sign that your life is unbalanced in your personal life. So you have the physical, you have the emotional, and you have the personal. And I'm not talking about anybody. I'm just asking these questions and pointing it out to you that you should hold the mirror up to your face and see, are you anywhere in any of these categories? All right. The next slide. So sometimes we can feel overwhelmed. You feel overwhelmed and you're not sure. Overwhelmed is connected to those words, it's just a lot. Overwhelmed goes right in there. And so we don't want to use the word that I'm overwhelmed or that I'm feeling overwhelmed. We just say it's just a lot. And that's the way of putting everything that you're facing in one little bucket. So you have family, you have work, you have children, activities. I can honestly say I don't miss the days when I was a a taxi cab driver driving to soccer, driving to football, driving to cheerleading, driving to PTA, driving here, driving there. So you have family, you have work, you have children, and then you have the children activities. But here's one of the most important points about all of those. All of these pieces in your life compete against each other for valuable attention. So, how can you give value to all of these pieces of your life if you don't take care of you first? Get you in balance, get you settled. So, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not able to give out to all these other pieces in your life. Sometimes we allow our schedule to run our lives and wreck our priorities. My gosh, let me say that again. Sometimes we allow our schedules to run our lives and wreck our priorities. Instead of us taking charge of how we manage our day to day life, we let the schedules manage our day to day life instead of us, taking charge of our lives. Next slide. All right. So we talked about what an unbalanced life looks like. We talked about the things that we are facing daily. And I'm just asking all of us to just take a minute, even after Wellness Wednesday tonight, and look in the mirror and sit down between today and tomorrow and make a list of what needs to happen, what should happen, and what can wait. You'll be amazed at what's on the can wait list because every day we have this sense of urgency that everything has to be perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no such thing as a perfect life. Not at all. Not at all. All right. So we talked about what an unbalanced life looks like. Let's talk about how does a balanced life begin? How does a balanced life begin? And one of the things about looking at your life and assessing what's good for you and what's not good for you, you can always reset. Some people say, I'm just too far gone. It is what it is. It's just a lot going on. I just have to take it as I take it. And some people say, I'm just going to do what I can, and what I can't do, I'm just going to let it alone. But there's always the reset button. Push the reset button and start all over. So a balanced life begins with allowing a spiritual connection. Well, you knew I was going to go there because that's my passion. Allowing a spiritual connection. Not only knowing who you are, but knowing who you belong to. And that means God. Not only knowing who you are, but knowing who you belong to. And the reason why I point that out is because you need to understand that you are not operating on your own power. Now, I know it's a lot of us that think we self-made and that we superwoman and superman. Absolutely not. There's no such thing. Even for those people who say, well, I don't believe, I know that there's a higher power. Well, more power to you, and we understand that. However, there is no one that's listening tonight that woke themselves up this morning and started you on your way, whatever the way was, and however your day went. There wasn't anything that you did. So, learning who you are and who you belong to, we must understand that we are not operating on our own power. That's why it's important to believe that you can push the reset button, start all over. Don't accept being tired as a way of life, being exhausted as a way of life. We must understand that there's no perfect one size fit all, but create the balance that you are striving for. So, what balances me may not balance Carla, and what's balancing Carla may not balance me. But strive to understand what you need in your life to balance what you're doing. Figure it out for you because it can't be just a perfect fit, one size fits everybody. Next slide, Mike. All right. Here is the order for a balanced life. Oh, I can't see. I have a glare on mine. But here's how it goes. The order of the balanced life is God, you, children and family, work, and everything else. The order of a balanced life is God, you, children, family, work, and everything else. Why is it in this order? Because God can give you the strength, the encouragement, the balance you need to give out to the rest of the pyramid. Because if you're not okay, you cannot give adequately value to the rest of the pieces of the pyramid. So you got to be okay. You've got to take some, and everyone's been saying self care. That's correct. You got to take care of you so that you're able to give out to everything else in the pyramid. Your work will be stronger. Your production will be stronger. Your attitude will be stronger. Your body will be stronger. Your mind and spirit will be stronger if you do it in this order. Now, I'm telling you something that I live every day. Anybody that knows me, very rarely do you see me stress. Very rarely is there stress. The only stress I usually have is if I can't get a flight for one of my kids to come home to visit me, then I'm stressing because my children need to be at home. But if you do it in this order, you will see how calm your spirit will be, how calm your life will be daily, how calm you can produce, and how calm you can begin to add value to the pieces of your life in the pyramid. Next slide. So, when you allow Christ to lead your life, you receive pride in what you produce in your production. You receive satisfaction. Have you ever worked on a project and it didn't feel like it was your best work, but we say, but I got it done. It wasn't my best, but I got it done. You will receive satisfaction when you reset your mind and your spirit to put your life in balance. You will have happiness. Some people don't know what happiness really, really is. It's not in other people, it's in you. You will receive happiness. When you live a balanced life, you will have celebration. There'll be time to celebrate the things in your life that you've done. Time for joy, time for laughter, time for fun, time for vacation. You will receive love. That's the greatest thing. You'll receive love not only for God, but love for yourself, then love for your family, love for others. You'll have a strong sense of well being. I believe that with all my spirit, with all power. You'll have a sense of well being. You'll have a core. You'll learn to operate from the middle of your being. And let me say this, no one can alter your state of being unless you allow them to. No one can alter your state of being unless you allow them to. Meaning, no one can make you angry unless you give them the reins to push your anger button. No one can make you unhappy unless you give them the reins to push the unhappy button. So, how you feel and how you respond determines on you. It's on you. So, no one can take it unless you allow them to. So, when you begin to live a balanced life, you will begin to delight in living. And as you all know, we've been through so much these last 18 months. We've got to get back to the point that it's all about me. It's all about me. And so that you can delight in living no matter what the circumstances are. We have been dealt some really, really bad cards, but it's how you shuffle the deck, how you're going to be able to get through what we're going through. So these are tips. And for self-care, you got to remember to do deep breathing exercises. Learn to journal during the day. Learn to have quiet time and medication. Schedule yourself for a massage so that your nerves can relax. Look up virtual health updates. See what we should be doing to increase our healthy living. Also, look at virtual preaching sessions, prayer sessions each day for New Salem. And for those of you that do not belong to New Salem, we have our prayer call, 6 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., that encourages you and lifts you up. Plan family meals where there's no agenda, but just laughter. Plan family meals. You'll be surprised how the medicine of laughter can bring you to a happy place. Have care group, Bible study. Remember to take bubble baths. Enjoy the small things in life. But ladies and gentlemen, remember to push the reset button. It is not too late. Amen. So those are my points for you to get that life back to where it needs to be, should be balanced. Right here, I give you some biblical references. In the Bible, there are scriptures in there that talk about a balanced life. So I have Ecclesiastics and Proverbs, Second Peter. There are so many things in the Word that teaches you how to have a balanced life. First Peter 5:7 says, casting all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Hebrews 13:5. Keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you or forsake you. Philippians 4:8. Finally, my brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, is there any excellence? If there is anything worthy of praise, think about all these things. So you have scripture that tells you how to live a balanced life. One more, it says that Philippians 4:11. Now that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. And so the Bible tells us how to balance our lives. So if we eat of his word daily, then we can reset and have a strong, balanced life. Life is too short not to have joy, not to have peace, and not to have laughter. Amen. Thank you, Carla. I, I don't
You're
hear
muted,
you,
Carla.
Carla. Yes.
Sorry about that. I was just saying, thank you, amen, amen. And thank you so much. I love the idea of a reset because there
Hmm.
are many people who don't think that is possible. That,
Absolutely.
this is my life and this is how it is and it's never going to change. That's just not the case. I mean, you've given us some great tips of things, even stopping and breathing.
Yes, absolutely. 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 If you just sit down, even when you're going through your day and you have anxiety, if you just sit down and start inhaling and exhaling to bring all of your nerve, all of the energy to settle. Your blood pressure will rise when you're going through anxiety or when you're procrastinating and you're not ready. Your blood pressure can rise and cause other things in your body that you're not interested in, lightheadedness, dizziness, you're
Mhm.
feeling faint. So if you just settle down for a moment, inhale and exhale slowly to bring your body to settle.
Absolutely. I actually told several of my friends who said, my blood pressure is up so high. I got to get the
Hmm.
medication. And, many of us are on medication. But I said, before you do anything, sit down and breathe and take those
Yes,
deep breaths, at least six of
yes,
them, not just one or two.
absolutely.
Really
Mhm.
spend the time doing it.
Mhm.
The other thing that I
Absolutely.
thought was really great was the pyramid. If you could keep that in your mind, in front of your face all
Yeah.
the time, I think that's huge. I'm really huge. And there was a question in the chat, and that is, who comes first, spouse or kids?
Spouse. Spouse. Because the thing about it is, you have to remember you created the kids with your spouse. And one of the things that we do is we make sure that the kids get everything they need. They get where they need to be, their soccer practice, their football practice. We do everything that the kids need and we ignore the spouse. But you have to remember it's the children are there because of the spouse. And the other thing that we have to remember, the children are going to grow up and become 18 and leave. And so when they do leave, you don't want your time, you have spent so much time making sure the kids are okay that you neglected the spouse and then you don't know each other. No, the spouse
Mhm.
is first, then the children.
Excellent. That was a great question because people lose sight of
Yes.
that. They really do.
Yes,
They really do.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm. Another question in the chat was, how can we improve and promote positive well-being when dealing with crisis?
It goes back to the power source. It's God. He will teach you how to manage, how to balance. Things that we cannot change, we can learn how to accept them as we're going through them. And so, what we have to remember, I mentioned it before, you have to remember you are not operating on your own energy. And you have to sit down and dissect, what is it that I can change? What is it that I can do to change it? And if there's nothing that you can do to change it, then you have to ask yourself, what are the necessary coping skills that I need to be able to go through this season of my life? What are my coping skills? And if you don't have any or you don't know any, call a counselor to help you walk through coping skills so that you can get through it. And depending on the crisis, there's different coping skills for that. And I know there's many counselors that can give you the 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to manage and cope with whatever crisis you're going through.
Mhm, mhm.
It
And
won't be
even knowing it,
perfect. But go ahead,
no, go
Carla.
ahead. No, you go
No,
ahead.
I said it won't be perfect, but it'll be attainable.
Mhm. I was going to say that, even before a crisis occurs, knowing how you cope with certain situations, just knowing yourself is very important
Right.
as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And some people can take more than others. Some people can go
Mhm,
through crisis after crisis and never waver. But there's a lot
mhm.
of us, depending on what it is, it can be traumatic. So you got the trauma syndrome there. So if you don't know what will help you get through it, I definitely recommend connecting with a counselor.
Excellent. Another question was, how does one balance physical and mental health at the same time?
How does one balance physical and mental health at the same time? Well, the interesting thing, one encourages the other, which is the
Mhm,
physical. And so sometimes if you are working out, your brain will release a chemical that helps you balance mentally. And so the physical does help the mental state. But if you have challenges, with mental health, then again, I would suggest connecting with the counselor so that you can be evaluated and go through an assessment to find out what it is that's causing mental stress. But working out, physical health is something that all of us need it, whether it's walking, whether it's jogging, whether it's lifting weight, yoga, whether it's doing Zumba or going to dance classes. You need to get that adrenaline moving that secretes from the brain. So everyone needs to be doing something. We don't want to be sedentary, which means sitting. And so
mhm.
everyone needs to engage in some type of activity. It doesn't have to always be a strenuous workout, but long as you keep moving.
Excellent. Well, I already had someone in the chat said they have already pushed the reset button, so they are
They
ready.
did? Absolutely. Congratulations. Push that button.
Oh,
Absolutely.
great. Here's another question here, and that is, in our current work from home environment, are there good resources for online mental health support?
There is the Adam H board. The Adam H board, if you go online, Adam H board has a list of things that you could get involved in. You can also take some of their online workshops to assist with mental health, and they give a list of resources. But the Adam H board is a great resource for mental resources. And also, during this pandemic, I myself have taken a couple classes learning how to first of all recognize trauma and recognize, should we be calling it trauma? Sometimes everybody puts everything in trauma, some things are not. And so I would recommend looking online to the Adam H board, because they
Mhm.
definitely have it going on for mental resources.
Excellent, excellent. And so I have to admit, and I think I confessed this to you earlier, Minister Troy, that I have a problem with saying no. I definitely
Hmm.
do. And I
Hmm.
like that you brought that up earlier. Sometimes, you could get out there and not, you can overcommit, and you might get it all done, but did you really need to pressure yourself to that level?
Right.
Talk a little bit
Right.
more about saying no. I think saying no is a very important part of this discussion.
Absolutely. So, people will always press you for whatever gifts you have. Everybody has gifts and talents, and some of us use ours more than others, and some of us use ours too much. And so, if it's something that's really not on your plate, just say no. And people will understand. Now, you have to teach people how to treat you. Because if you keep taking, and overloading, adding, they will always ask you if you can, will you, do you think you can do this? But when you look at your plate and you look at your life and you look at what you already have, is it reality to add something else? Should you really add something else that's going to make you stay late, up late at night, or rise early in the morning, or work on Saturday and Sunday when you really hadn't planned on working Saturday and Sunday? So just say, you know what, I really would like to help you, but right now I can't. I really apologize, but I won't be able to do that. I'm really sorry. Because you have to protect yourself. Because as long as you keep giving, people will continue to take, and take, and take. And so you have to protect your own well being. Just bite off as much as you can chew. And when you're done with that, then you can add some things. But when your plate is full and you add one more piece to the plate, that plate's going to tip over. And when it falls, it's going to break. So
Oh, I love it.
just say no. I'd like to help you, but at this time I just can't.
Someone in the chat said, givers must set limits because takers don't have any.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whoever said that, absolutely. You have got to
So,
set limits. You have to set boundaries. Because if you don't, it just keeps going like the little hamster. It just keeps going and going and going.
absolutely. So the
Mm-hmm.
balance, this, work-life balance is not a new, concept that we've all talked about it for years, but it just
Mm-hmm.
seems like it's different now, especially in the last 18 months or more in the pandemic. Wouldn't you,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would agree to that. I would agree that.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hmm.
Especially from working from home. Some of us have been working more than when we were in the office.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I would agree that it's different. Hmm.
Yeah, it just seems like and when we come back, it's going to be even different, look and feel of balancing that work and family because we're not going to be the same as we were prior to the pandemic.
No, we're not. We already can see that we're different already. Yeah, we
Hmm.
won't be able to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, when you
So,
look at your laundry, go ahead. When you look at your
oh,
laundry
no,
load, a lot of people get overwhelmed with laundry. When you look at your laundry load, I would say just do what you can do. A lot of people get overwhelmed by that. And when people look at, the cleaning of their home, they're overwhelmed by it. It's just sometimes you just can't do it all. Just do what you can. And if you have children that are 10 and up, they can help you. They can certainly have a list of chores to release some pressure, usually off the mother. So, but just do what you can. And that's what you have to learn to do. There's no perfect life. And so, some people say, well, I need to do all of it and get it all done. Just do what's necessary, do what you need, do what you can do, and the rest will wait to the next day.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point because, we can't kill ourselves out here. We really just can't.
Ab-
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
really have to,
Absolutely.
yeah, got to have some balance here. So,
Mm-hmm.
let's
Mm-hmm.
see if I have any more questions in the chat. Uh, not yet. So let's talk
Not yet?
about
Okay.
part.
I didn't hear you. Would you?
I said I don't think we have any more questions in the chat, but
Okay.
let's talk about pampering ourselves. So you did give up
Okay.
some good examples, and I know that for myself, I would always say I just don't have time to go get a massage, or I just don't have time to work that into my schedule. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have to say that this past month I looked at my calendar and it was a just as busy day as any other day. And I said, you know what? Between 5 and 7, I'm going to go and I'm going to get a massage and I'm going to relax and then I'm going to go to that next event. I can make this happen. And I did. And I was really
Absolutely.
surprised. So
Absolutely.
it's all about, how you look at it and making it a priority.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A few months ago, we had a massage therapist that was on Wellness Wednesday. She talked about the importance of having your muscles relax and talked about the tension points that you need to address those. She talked about the tension and the stiffness in the back of your neck. So, everyone on here, you should get a massage at least once a month, and so that your neck can relax. And she talked about the vertebrae in the back, and she also talked about the way that you sit in chairs when you're working. And so you need to pamper yourself and get a massage. And actually, you call it pampering to get the massage, but medically, it's good for us to get those
Mhm.
stretch points released from a licensed therapist.
Interesting.
Hey
Wow,
Carla.
that's true. Yes,
Hey
Mike.
Carla, there's a question on YouTube. What are some pointers for caregivers to have balance?
Some pointers for the caregivers to have balance. First
Mm-hmm.
of all, caregivers have to really schedule how they're going to have some self care for them. So I remember when my mother was ill, I had to take care of her all day. But my mom relaxed between 12 and 2 almost every day. After I gave her her lunch, the medications that she was taking, she would relax, actually fall asleep from 12 to 2. So for me, from 12 to 2, I was able to sit down, do the inhaling and exhaling, either
Mm-hmm.
read to myself, watch a movie, or actually close my eyes and relax. So the caregivers have to schedule. When you get the schedule of the person you're taking care of, find the time where they are totally relaxing, totally falling asleep, or totally there's no need for you at that moment or that couple of hours, and take some time for yourself. Inhaling, exhaling, maybe taking a nap. If there's enough time, maybe you need a hot shower or a bath just to relax. But you have to find out during the day, where is that balance where the patient that you're caring for is going to be totally, and I don't want to use the word out of it, but totally relaxed. Then there's some time for you, that the times where that you're not needed. And it's a lot. And you may just have to take a mental relief and just sit still quietly and meditate so that you can increase your well-being so that you continue to give and offer quality care.
That's excellent. And so critical. I mean, the last part that you said, in order to provide that quality care, you need again
Mhm.
to take care of yourself first. It's that
Absolutely.
whole
Absolutely.
air, airplane, scenario that you put the mask on first before you attend someone else. So yeah,
Yes, but
very
becoming
important.
being a caregiver can be exhausting. So you have to
Mhm.
remember to try to refuel yourself when you can. Now, it's not always easy to do, but it's attainable.
Mhm, mhm. And sometimes we don't see ourselves as caregivers when we're taking care of
No,
loved ones. We're
right.
just taking care of our loved ones, but you got to
Absolutely.
recognize that you're a caregiver and that you are taking on a load of responsibility.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's okay to make lists, even for caregivers or even those that are not caregivers. It's okay to make lists of things that you need to do. You can do the to-do list. And sometimes we make a to-do list that's as tall as the Eiffel Tower in Paris. That's too many to-dos. So you can make a to-do list to see what's needed. What my list consumes of should be done, might be done, what can wait. My list is that should be done, what might be done, what can wait. And then that way it keeps me focused, it keeps me balanced. And so
Right.
once you are focused on what is necessary, the strategy is easy to come by.
Mhm. Oh, that's excellent because I know I can sit down and write a to-do list that goes for pages and pages. And prioritizing, you got to go back and prioritize because you look at it and
Exactly.
you can become very overwhelmed. Like, wow,
Absolutely.
I can't get all this done.
Absolutely.
But then you look at it
Ab-
again and go, oh, okay, I can do this.
Right, right. And
So
being
that's
overwhelmed then push, pushes the anxiety button. Being overwhelmed then pushes the anxiety button. And then the next thing you know, your hands are clammy, they're sweating, you're feeling a little funny in your stomach. You're starting to go to anxiety. Once you look at that list, it's like, oh my God, how am I gonna get all of this done?
hmm hmm Yeah, you just can't get to that point, and then then you have to lean on your faith at that point. At
Absolutely.
that point, you really got to say, okay, God only puts as much as you can handle. So you just step
Yeah.
back, and I think that's where the meditation really comes in. So, do you meditate, or can you talk a little bit about meditation?
Yes. What I like to do is first my meditation, I like to read a scripture and then just close my eyes and just calm down and just listen to the quietness, to the peace in my ear. Just listen, and try to just calm down, inhaling and exhaling and just meditate. First of all, I always am very thankful that I was given another day. So once you meditate on that, and then just sit still and be quiet and just meditate on the goodness. If you can go outside, if it's early in the morning, I like to look at the stars that's out there. Just look at the stars and just quietly meditate on the goodness and the fact that I've been given another day. Make it a quality day, not a quantity day, a quality day. And just calm down for 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes it could be 20, depending on the day before. Just quiet,
Mhm.
meditate. Hmm.
Mhm. That's excellent. Because a lot of people, when you say meditation, they're not sure what that is,
Hmm.
and what's required. They think that there's a special technique that needs to be
Mm.
followed, but not necessarily. Yeah, and
No,
just
no.
that's
It's
so
it,
beautiful.
yeah, it's actually pulling yourself to the center. It's actually calming down, pulling yourself to the center, just relaxing, deep breathing, inhaling and exhaling, and just think of those things that are, and not to meditate on the things that are not, or to meditate on negative things or what you could have, should have done. Think of the positive, meditate on what is. And when you have grand rising, that's what I call my days, grand rising. When you have grand rising, that is enough to sit down and meditate on your grand rising, because it didn't have to be, but it is. And just calm down and then begin the day.
Oh, what a thankful moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful. All right. If you guys have any other questions, please put them in the chat. In the meantime, I'm gonna ask one more question, and then
Okay,
we'll
great.
start to wrap.
All right.
So, okay. Um, so the other thing I wanted to just kind of chat about was this disorganization and clutter. I think that's a good point. And I know when I
Yeah.
look around myself in my car, and those who know me, I'm like, okay. And even when I find that if I start losing things, I can't find something, I can't find my keys, I can't find this. I thought I put something in one place, and it turns out to be in something in another place that's really strange. That's when I know I'm way out of balance. So,
Absolutely.
and then also the clutter of my office or anything else. I'm like, okay, we need to stop
Hmm.
and let's kind of regroup here.
Right. Right. Well, we need to learn to practice putting it back, or practice
Hmm
putting it where it's supposed to go instead of just stacking up stuff. It's easy to just stack it instead of putting it back. First of all, where you got it from. Secondly, where should it go? It has a place, so where was the place? But it's easier to just toss it. Just
Yeah.
toss it or just stack it up, and the next thing you know, what you stacked up last week, the next week, what you stacked up the month before, it all becomes clutter and it's disorganized. First of all, you by the time 30 days later, you don't even remember what is in that stack. And then you're
Yeah.
looking for a book or an article or something that you may want to reference. You can't remember where it is. It's over there in the stack. And in our cars, it's easy to
Uh,
leave it in the back seat and you just keep going. And then the next
Mhm.
day you go someplace else. Now you have an umbrella. It's easy to leave it in the back seat. Okay. Then the next day you go to, maybe, let's say you go to a workshop. They give you a gift bag at the workshop, a gift bag, the items in the gift bag, a copy of the PowerPoint, the ink pens, the coffee mug is in the gift bag. You just leave it in the car. And you leave it in the
Yeah.
car because you say, well, there's a mug in there. I might need that to drink something out of. So you leave that there. The next thing you know, you look in the back seat. There's a lot going on back there. There's a
Yeah.
lot
It's
going
like
on.
that.
So then you take that stuff and then you move that to the trunk. And then we start all over again. And so you look around and your car is cluttered. Your desk at home is cluttered. There's a corner in your room that's cluttered. Your exercise machine is cluttered. Your
Mhm.
your rower that you have in your room, your bedroom is cluttered. The chair up against the wall is cluttered. And so we just keep going and going and going instead of just balancing it out, putting it back where it came from, or taking it to its new place and setting it there. Just
Mhm.
try to get organized so that we can function and focus.
Right. Because it does
Yep.
affect how you feel. It does affect
Yes.
affect you mentally. It really does. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And none of us are perfect, but we just need to strive to do better than we did yesterday. Just bring the books in the house. Just bring them out the car into the house. Then we bring them out the car into the house and we set them on the counter. 3 days
That's
later,
all.
yes, 3 days later, they're still there. They're still there.
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a good one. I think that's a good discussion. All right. Well, do you have any final remarks? I don't think we have any additional questions in the chat. So just to kind of take
Okay,
us
so
out this evening.
yeah. So since we have no additional questions, that means everybody's doing good. They're all balanced. That's excellent. Yes, yes, yes. But no,
Yeah.
the only,
Yeah, one
the only
question
five. Okay, go ahead.
Uh-oh. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
on YouTube.
Okay, go
Okay.
for it.
Is it safe to say that this physical disorder is a direct reflection of your mental space? Cluttered space equals cluttered mind.
Is it safe to say that the physical disorder is it?
Is
Yes.
a direct
Yes. It is.
reflection of your mental
Yes.
space. Cluttered
Yes. It
space
is.
equals cluttered mind.
Yes, it is. It really is. Because you cannot, I'm gonna say, talk about me. I cannot focus and function in a cluttered space. My mind wanders places it shouldn't be. Like if I was doing this presentation today and had a lot of stuff around my laptop, I could see myself just dozing off, looking over here at something, looking over here at something. And so you need clarity and focus. And so when you have things straightened up and organized, when you focus, then the strategy is easy. It gives you mental clarity when you focus. So when you look at a cluttered area, you start thinking things that you shouldn't. Like I'm just talking about me. I'll use me as an example. You start thinking, first of all, what is all that? What's in there? Is it something I should be looking at, going through? I'll give you a real tangible example. Our bills. Folks, we stack up mail like nobody's business, and it's all cluttered up. And then when you get 30-day notice, 60-day notice, 90-day notice, and when someone calls you, we get all angry about it. But the first notice is in that stack of stuff that's over there. And I know if you visit some of your friends and you look and you see this mail stacked up, wonder how old it is. That's just an example. But yes, it is safe to say that cluttered spaces can lead to a cluttered mind. How are you going to think clearly looking at all that? Unless you're a person that just shuts the door and never look at it. But even if you do that, in the back of your mind, you're thinking that one day I'm going to go through that stuff. One day I'm going to clean it. One day I'm going to get organized. Why can't that be today? Reset your mind and begin organizing today.
Excellent.
Some people say, well, nobody sees it. You see it. You're somebody. You see it. Yep. Yep. Yes.
Excellent. All right.
Mhm.
So you want to just your final remarks, and then we'll get
Yes.
going.
Sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. You guys know that Wellness Wednesday is my passion. And let me just say to all of you, I was not supposed to be the guest today. Dr. Keith A. Troy was supposed to be the guest, but yeah. So this is how this worked out. So my final words would be, first of all, I want to encourage everyone that it's not over. You still can reset your mind, get started, take care of yourself. If you begin to balance out and understand you cannot do everything in one day, bite bits and pieces of this pie and take it one day at a time. Sit down, encourage yourself. Please remember, just start with what you have. And then remember, anxiety takes over and it makes you feel unwell and unbalanced. So I just want to encourage you. It can be done. It can be done. It can't be done the way Brenda Troy do it or the way Carla Coleman do it or anyone else. It can only be done the way that balance in your life fits you. Thank you so much for your time. Anybody ever want to talk to me about it? This is something that I live every day, and I've lived through raising 5 kids. So that I know what balance looks like. So thank you so much for your time. Please join us next
Oh,
week for Wellness Wednesday.
excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
saying it. Thank you everyone for coming, and we'll like Mrs. Troy said, we'll see you next week